before I start this video, I just kind of wanted to explain that it looks a little more laggy on the actual screen recorder than it does on the actual monitor. Just keep in mind the FPS are the real FPS, and once you get up to about 25 to 30, you're pretty smooth. So I just wanted to point that out before I start this up. Today we're going to be running the EVGA GTX 580. It's made by EVGA. It's an Nvidia based video card. Right now it's their fastest single card on the market. You can get a faster dual card, but this is the fastest single card from Nvidia on the market to date. Some of my other tests in the screen recorder didn't show up and they kind of looked laggy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run performance test 64-bit off my camera so you can kind of get a better feeling of what it's going to look like. Because even though it wasn't laggy, it appeared laggy on the video, and the camera should straighten that whole deal out. As you can see, we're up here getting amazing amounts of FPS. We're at 3300 somewhere on there. It's hard to read it when it's going that fast, but there's a bunch of graphics tests. I'm just going to go ahead and just keep watching this so that way you guys can see. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's actually an airplane somewhere in there. It's just flying right along. We're getting 1200 FPS. This is without VSync, so that's why it's going so fast. If I had VSync on, it might force it to 60 and it would be smooth, and that's where VSync comes in. But I prefer not to have VSync on because in real life games, such as first person shooters, you get a faster reaction time and you won't even notice the difference, to be quite honest. Okay, now it's smoothing out here. We're getting 84 FPS up here, as you can see. I don't want to keep cutting it off, so you're just going to have to kind of take my word for it. Everything looks very good. This is performance test 64-bit. You can find it on Google. It's completely free. It's just performance test. And I'm running the 64-bit version, 7.0, so if you're wondering what version I'm running. Up here we're getting 64 FPS, and this is a pretty hard test. This basically tests everything 3D graphics on your graphics card, just about everything on it. And as you can see, we're not lagging. We're still at 63, 64 right now. It just keeps going through multiple tests. This is on my monitor, as I said, simply because I wanted to show you that this video card does not lag, even though it appeared like it on the other test. Just have to keep in mind that FPS are FPS, and even if it looks like it's lagging, it's not, because the FPS don't lie. This is what it scores like on Performance Test 64-bit version 7.0. I just wanted to post that up there so you guys could see the potential of this video card and what it was capable of. Alright, to start it off, we're going to be running Furmark at 1920 by 1080 and 32 times filtering. This is the GeForce GTX 580 made by EVGA. It's an Nvidia based DirectX 11 video card with 1 gig of memory. Starting off, as you can see, we're already at about 20 FPS, 25. It's moving up. I have the FPS counter up here, but this is also Furmark's FPS counter. If I didn't have the screen recorder going, it would probably be getting more FPS. So what I'm going to do later on in the video, I'm going to go ahead and show you on my real camera without the screen recorder running. So that way it gives you a more realistic amount of FPS that you'll be receiving. As you can see, we're at about 25, no, I guess we're up to 30 now. It depends on where it goes, really, I guess. I'm just going to go ahead and let it run now for a while, and I'll let you watch it, and then from there I'll probably pop in with my next video showing you of what it looks like on the actual camera. Alright, we gained quite a few FPS doing this. It's up to about 32. I don't know, it's running around there. But the temperature is about 71 Celsius, as you can see. We're going to move up slowly here so you can see the actual FPS. It looks a lot smoother. We might not have gained a whole lot of FPS, but we gained the smoothness, so which is always a great thing. This video card is very powerful. This is 1920 by 1080 with everything on, and it was getting good FPS with the screen recorder on. This is the actual camera here. The screen recorder is shut off, and we're up to about 30 FPS. As you can see, it goes from 28 to 30, depending on where it goes. But this is perfectly capable of gaming. It's pretty smooth, and this is with all the filtering on, too. Alright, I have to run this in a window, enable for my screen recorder to catch it. So we're going to run it at 1680 by 1050. I can tell you that I run this video card on 1920 by 1080 on my average use, and it gets around 30 to 25 to 35 FPS, somewhere around there. But we're going to run it at 1680 by 1050 so it doesn't mess up with everything. Everything's on absolute maximum. I don't have 3D glasses, so I can't use 3D, and if I did, it would look terrible for you. So DirectX 11 it is, Extreme 16 and 18 filtering. It can't get any higher than this on this particular test. So I'm going to kind of slide this over when it will let me, and from there we can just go from there. Alright, the only reason it lagged out there is because I dragged it into the middle, but if I didn't do this, it wouldn't be capable of recording with the screen recorder program I'm using. It usually hangs pretty low around here for FPS until it gets up to the boat. Once we're up to the boat, it usually takes off. As you can see, we're up to about 42 FPS. On 1920 by 1080, you're about to 36 to 40, so you're not losing that many FPS, but if you're running it on a lower resolution, you're going to be having a lot more FPS in general. This is one of my favorite tests simply because it's most like a game. It has all the textures of what you're most likely going to see in any type of game for the most part, whether it's a first-person shooter, racing game, any kind of rock texture, all that, it's all in here. So it's going to basically show you what the video card is capable of when you're in an actual game. I'm going to go ahead and shut up now so you can see what this video card is capable of, but this is running on DirectX 11, so keep that in mind. Everything's maximum and all filters are on. This is where Nvidia kind of has the lead right now. Tessellation, Nvidia's leading in tessellation, I'd say. Most people agree with me on that, simply because Nvidia's tessellation is way better than ATI's right now, and even ATI, I think, pretty much admits that. The tessellation on the Nvidia cards is generally better. As you can see those spikes that glow, that's tessellation right there. This is about 4 minutes into the test now. This is Heaven benchmark that we've been running. As you can see, the video card stays pretty quiet. It's not very loud. I'm trying to get it down there so you can hear it, but overall it stays pretty quiet. The fan speed is about 60. I'm going to go ahead and bring EVGA Precision up now. Alright, as you can see, I got EVGA Precision up right now. This is a graphics card temperature monitor gauge. I think it works on most video cards, so even if you don't have an EVGA, I used to use it on my PNY video card. Any Nvidia-based graphics card that's newer should work with it. I highly recommend it. You can overclock with this software. I did it a little bit on this video card at one time. Right now it's stock. The fan speed's at 62 Celsius. The core clock and everything is stock. But as you can see, it shows you the fan speed is at 63 right now. This is a pretty handy meter to see how hot your video card's running also. The fan tachometer, the highest it's ever been, is about 2310 RPM, 2310. The usage is at 98%. Temperature-wise, just about 85 to 84. The test did start over, as I said, but I've never shut it down. It just keeps repeating itself until you do shut it down. So this test has been running the whole time. The video card's at 61 right now, but for fan speed, the actual graphics card temperature is at 85. And I'm going to go ahead and do some other tests on it now. Alright, this shows basically the system score. This graphics card scores a 7.9 on Windows tests. Gaming graphics is also 7.9, the arrow and everything. Everything's maxed out on this video card. It can't go higher than 7.9 on the Windows test. I'm running 6 gigs of RAM, an i7-920, clocked at 3.8 gigahertz, and the lowest thing on here, that's why it's determined by the lowest score, that's my hard drive, and I have 3 of those Western Digital 640s in RAID 0, so they're not the fastest. If you had an SSD, this score would probably drive up to about 7.2, maybe a little bit higher. As you can see, though, it's running the GTX 580, so there's nothing wrong here. Everything's 7.9. I'm going to go ahead and run a final test on it, and then we can go from there. Before I get off here, I just want to show you the driver configuration here. This is the Nvidia driver control panel. I just wanted to kind of show an in-depth thing of what you could use. For this, I usually put this at about 8 times, and there's an enhance button around here, right here. I usually enhance the application setting, because that means if the game has filtering that you're on, it will only enhance it and not turn that off and use one or the other. For this, I usually use 16Q, and then I use the CSAA. There's some other things in here that you can always use. I use multi-sample for anti-aliasing transparency. I use multi-sample on this video card for that. I'm just kind of giving you a little heads up of what you can expect when you get it. I usually use enhance, as I said. Down here there's clamp. You can either allow that. I just usually have mine on clamp. For quality, I switch mine to high quality. It makes it look better overall. There's just a few little things in here. You want to force vertical sync off for the most part, unless you like it. I know most people don't like vertical sync because it kind of pushes your video card down compared to what it could do. Triple buffering, I usually have that on off because I think that works with vertical sync. But everything else, as you can kind of see, it has a physics. You hit yes. This is where you can choose your physics. If you have a physics actual graphics card that you're going to use, you can choose it here. I have mine on auto select. It can either use your CPU or graphics card. I'm not sure what it uses, but I don't want to screw it up by doing anything. As you can see, this is where you switch everything. You can basically choose your colors. You can switch it to portrait, and that will switch your screen upside down as it shows you. There's just a bunch of settings in here. I'm not going to change settings because I don't want my screen upside down. This is where you can use your 3D settings. There's also compatibility with games, color settings again, but overall it just shows you what you have. This is where it shows basically the DirectX 11 support, CUDA cores. It has 512. It just goes on and on. I do thank you for viewing this video, and if you like it, I'd appreciate it if you'd thumbs up below and subscribe above. Or they might change it around as YouTube always does, but thumbs up and subscribe if you could. This is the GTX 580 by EVGA, and as always, thank you for viewing. Thanks for viewing this video. If you liked it, I'd appreciate it if you thumbs up and subscribed. Thanks for viewing.